Habari. So today lesson we are going to be creating curl hairstyle. On this course file, on blend file folder, you'll open blender file called realistic head mesh 1. In it you'll find this type of head, and for this head they will be creating different female hairstyle. So the hairstyle that we are going to be creating is like this one. This one I appended from the last lesson that we did. It is called the Afro 2 hairstyle, and this one is called Curl hairstyle. In the hairstyle that we'll be creating, as you can see it, we have two layers. We have the first layer, the main one, the curl, and then we have second layer. We have the first layer. We have the first layer, the main layer. This is the curl, and we have the layer to fill this gap in between. So I called it curl hairstyle short. This the second layer. So if you enable all of them, you get this kind. Even you can have the third layer to have a baby hair in front of our forehead. And then another hairstyle that we'll be making is called Spiral Hairstyle. As you can see, it's here, Spiral Hairstyle. So let's begin making this hairstyle. So first of all, we divide this down here. I want down here to be our geometry node editor. I want here we have image editor. Then here I want to drop a reference image. Here it is. So we'll be making this kind of hairstyle, this hairstyle. So the first thing to do, we'll create a new correction. I call it curl hairstyle, and after that I'll select my hair scalp. Then I shift A, add curve, then I'll add empty hair. After empty hair, I'll name it to curl, then I'll change the name. And here in modifier panel, I'll add a new modifier, geometry node modifier. Then I needed to put it before the surface deform. Then I'll name it curl hairstyle. Down here, I'll enable fake user. The thing that we need to make, because this is a curl, but the curl have a guide. So we need to create this type of guide. We need to add this guide. We need to add this guide to the entire head. Thereafter, we can apply our geometry setting for the curl hairstyle. So we need to divide our head into two parts. Here we'll start from here, and the hair will drop here, the guide will drop here, and from here the hair guide will drop down here. So I'll choose my hair object, then I'll go into scope mode, and if you try to add, you'll come to choose your add brush. Remember here you need to set your setting, length and point length it is 0.4 and point 15. You can interpolate between length, shape and point. So I'll add the guide down here following our scalp line. So I'll add the guide here. Yes, as you see, then I'll combo it down here. I'll add another guide. Remember, if you want to add another, so deselect it by pressing AA, then add another guide. By this, the new guide will be highlighted and the old won't be highlighted, won't be selected. So here we have a chance of combing it without affecting the previous guide. And then I deselect all of them, I add another. This process always takes a lot of time, but we have different methods. You can even use vertex, and you can extrude vertex to form this type of shape. After that, you convert the mesh line into curve, then curve into hair strand. After this, you can even enable interpolate shape. So when you add a new one like here, it will copy the shape between this and this. So we won't spend another time trying to reshape your guide. And let me disable interpolate shape. I want to add hair guide from here falling down here. So I'll add here and then I'll come. I want hair to fall from here to this part. As you can see it, then we can even increase its length with snake hook. So this is the process of adding the hair guide. Can add another one here, let's say down here. So this is how you add hair guide into your character. So I'll come back when I'm done adding. So I'm done adding this hair guide. As you can see, this is what I've done. So the next step is start tweaking the geometry node editor here. So as I said, remember to select your hair, and then you will add a new geometry node editor here into your modifier panel. So in here, the first thing that we need to make, we'll add a duplicate node. Here, come to generation, add a duplicate. You can see, but before the duplicate, we need to add another node called right hair curve profile. This node will set here radius to 0.1. So get this one. Thereafter, we'll come to play with our radius of duplicate. 0.01. Let's increase number of duplicate here to 50. So we get this. We can even reduce the radius of our duplicate. Increase this a little bit. 0.02, too much. Let's leave 0.01. Then another node that we can use. You see, the duplicate are not attached to the surface. So what we can do, because we need this to be attached to the surface, what we can do, we'll add another node called into utility attach hair curve to surface. You choose this one, then the surface object is hair scalp, but you need to specify the name UV map. So we'll copy the UV map name and we'll come to our hair, select the hair, then down here, as usual, come to surface UV map, you'll search for named attribute here, and here you'll paste the name of your UV map. So you see, now the duplicate have been attached to the surface of hair scalp. So if I disable here, we will note the difference here and after. So another node that we'll use, because this is the curl hairstyle, let me disable here the annotation. Because it is the curl hairstyle, we need to create this type of hair. So we'll add curl hair curve. As you can see here, what we need to do is to play with the radius. First, we'll reduce the radius, but you won't notice the difference because here on frequency we have not added the frequency. So we need to add the frequency. Say too much. And then you add the frequency. Another thing here, after adding the frequency, you need to add the subdivision here to 2. You see how we start to get the curl. Another thing that you will do, we'll leave at setting, let's say setting, and increase the random offset to 0.5. Radius 0.01, let's say 0.005. Radius, and you see the curl does not start from the root but somewhere in between, so we don't want our curl to start here, we need them to start somewhere here. So here we'll increase the curl start, let's say 0.5 or 0.75, and it does not change here. Here let's reduce the curl frequency maybe to 15, half offset. Yes, let's try 10. Yeah, stay in sync, it is enough. And here we can even, you see the profile of our hair curve is too large, then we can reduce to 0.05, 0.01. Here this is our hair strand, and here we can even increase the amount of duplicate to 100. Another thing, as you can see this one, how it rotates. Here we see at the tip the size is not the same as on the root. So here another thing that we can play factor start and factor end. We can determine the factor start. Let's try 5 here, maybe 2. You see, when you increase here, the radius is bigger compared to the tip. So even at the tip 1.5, yes, I think this is enough. And what if we reduce the subdivision? No, we'll increase, we'll leave it at a 3. So this is the curl that we get. And even we can have different guide strand of curve. Maybe we can add another, let's say, let's duplicate this one to be, and let's duplicate this node. And this node, let's say, disable this for a moment. When I made with this one, and I'll disable it for a moment. I go into guide. I'll select random select, and then I'll reduce the probability. What I want to do is to delete some of them and leave other. I'll delete is not working, so I'll go into edit mode and delete, and go back to scope. I'll select, let's say, this front one and combo it just a little bit in front, because we want to have different layer. Maybe like this. Invert selection, and then I'll move this just a little bit on top, because this is the second layer. And let me delete this one. So what we'll do, let me enable this again. What I want to do, I want this to be reduced. Let's say this, let's leave at 40, you see. And then I want to reduce the radius 0.025. Then maybe frequency, if we add, let's reduce a little bit, 0.5. And then we can play with, yes, random offset, you see. This is 0.1, let's say 0.25, 0.2. Let's revert 0.1. And then we'll try to reduce the factor start and end. We'll leave at 1. And here 1, or here 0.5. Let's revert 2. Too much. Let's revert 0.5. Curl start 0.5. 0.5. And you can even increase here the offset, or we can increase here the frequency 0.7 and 0.25, 0.25. And let's enable the first layer. So you see, now you have different layer with this one, and we have this one. So if I disable one, let me disable, you see the difference. So let me go back to first layer and disable this second layer. Let's continue with our layer. Another thing that we can do, we can add a freeze. You see, the curl effect is done, but we can add another thing, like to sharpen the tip to have curl effect. So we'll add another node called guide cramping. You see how sharp the tip is, but here we can reduce, we can spread the tip a little bit, 0.01, let's say 0.2, too much, 0.005, 0.005, just 0.05. Even another thing that we can do, we can leave it at 0.01, but we can play with cramp factor, let's say 0.5. The effect still noticeable, 0.25, 0.25. So you see the difference. So even this node we can copy and let's apply it and here we can paste it here, but here we can reduce 0.05, 0.005 even factor. We can increase a little bit, 0.5. Let's then reduce here 0.025. So disable, enable this one. So this is the difference. So this is how you make this curl hairstyle. Even here we can leave it as it is, or we can add this type of noise. So we can add another node here, deformation, come to your freeze, add a freeze, and here you can play with the distance 0.005, still big 0.01. Even you can start play with cumulative offset and try to see the difference without with. After adding this type of curl, having these two layers, the first layer and the second layer, the small, the long, the big one with big radius, and the another one with small radius and small frequency. What another thing that we can add? We can add a new layer to fill this gap. So what we'll do, select the scalp, Shift A, add curve, empty hair, we'll name it Curl Hairstyle underscore short. So what we'll do, we'll go into scope and we'll try to add, but they're too long. What we'll need to do is reduce the length. Here on length, we need to put 0.1, 0.12, still too long. Then 0.05, maybe still too long. 0.02. Yes, maybe this is enough. So it will be 0.02. So we'll use a density brush and not a add brush. So density brush. So here, let me disable this first one. Remember to enable your mirror modifier. So after that, you can enable your first layer. And what we need to do is we need to comb this thing to have a line here. So remember to disable X mirror now. And disable this one. Let's choose this thing. This one. This one. Or this need to be to face down. So after doing so, what we get, we need to add, this is our short hair selected, we need to add geometry node, and then need to be above the surface deform. We'll add, we copy the name and we'll paste it here. And first we add a right curve profile. We need to put 0.1, 0.01. Then another thing that we'll add, now we won't use duplicate, but we'll use interpolate. So Shift A, generation, use interpolate. Interpolate the scalp, the base, and the UV will search for named attribute or look for UV name. It is called hair scalp. So we'll post it here. And then density we put to 100,000. 100,000. We'll add, let's say 7. So 7 is enough. We'll add a new node called curl. Curl will come to hair. Then your guides, curl hair. But here we don't want a lot of things, just a little bit. So in here in our guide, or you can even use existing guide, we try to reduce the radius 0.05, and then so let's play with this 0.05. So 0.05. Yes, here we can increase 0.5, and then we can press subdivision to 15. Then radius, curl radius. Oh, we can start with playing with the curl start. Let's say we need to start it at 2. We'll have this same. Oh, we can even, let's say it start at 5. Let's see what we get. And what if we increase the 0.01? So we got a little rough. I think this is enough. And another thing, that we can do here, we can even add a material. Go to material, search for hair, and now we can enable the previous two layer, this one and this one. So you see now the gap has been filled in between. This is, you see, without short hair, with short hair. So even with short hair, we can increase its density here. It is 400,000, 700,000. We can put it to 10. So the density now is big. You can just decrease. Can just decrease the length. So shrink a little bit. Then if we add, so this is how you create a curl hairstyle in Blender. So another thing, we'll take a look into creating a spiral hairstyle. See you.